It's the Machine of Nonsense, episode 75, and it's a marvelous May episode. We are talking Moon Knight and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Doctor Strange 2. It's Mother's Day, and, it's also a very special day, folks. It's Michael Nelson's birthday. He's here with us on the pod. How are you, Mike?
No, sorry, this is Steven, actually. Mike is gone. No, thank you for that. There's some Jeopardy bloke, his name's Strombeck or something, he's here too.
Well, Mike does a much better English accent than I, folks. So, I'm your host, Eric, as always, joined by Kayla.
Yes.
And it's Mike's birthday. We're talking Marvel. It's Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day for all you moms out there. I don't think my mom listens to the pod, but hey,
dang.
Ma, it's I think she's listened to like an episode.
To say, I've listened to it. I support my son.
My sister's a mother, and I think she does listen to the pod. So there we go, folks.
Oh, wonderful.
Say Happy Mother's Day to my wonderful sister. We are talking Marvel. We finished Moon Knight, 6 episodes on Disney Plus, and we've all seen Doctor Strange 2. I think we should get right to the talk. We haven't done much else, so let's get first to Moon Knight. Oscar Isaac led TV show, 6 episodes. They were about 40 minutes apiece. We were all really excited for this one. Speaking for myself, I was incredibly excited to see Oscar Isaac jump into the MCU, one of my favorite actors, someone who I felt like, I don't know the Moon Knight character going into this, but I felt like, he could do anything. And from what I've heard is Moon Knight's kind of like crazy Batman. And I'm like, oh yeah, Oscar Isaac. Heck yeah, that's great. But let's get into just our overall impressions first. Mike, you're the birthday boy. Start us off. What did you think just overall? And we can get into spoilers after a minute here.
Much like Mark and Steven's scales, I think the show was just kind of unbalanced for me overall. Really, some really good stuff in there. I love Isaac's performance overall, and which I knew that was kind of all right, he's going to be awesome in it, Ethan Hawke, I thought was fine. Overall, he's just kind of doing a whispery, creepy thing the whole time. We'll get deeper into it, but just some of the stuff overall that they introduce but it doesn't. There was just a lot of stuff that didn't make sense to me in this.
Yeah, I had said early on that I was real disoriented, and I felt at least midway through or near the end or something, I'd feel less disoriented. I'd feel I got a grasp on what's going on and why this all matters and stuff. And I don't know if I ever did. What did you feel, Kayla?
I liked it. Of course, like we've all said, Oscar Isaac was just a real joy to watch. I think he was the best part. I enjoyed Ethan Hawke too. I thought he did his part well. Whispery creepy was kind of a good way to describe him. I took this as its own. It is something totally just. I don't want to put it into any of the MCU that we currently know. It's been said that there's not going to be a season 2. So it's kind of just...
Oh, okay.
There is not going to be a season 2. That's what they've said.
I didn't know that. I that's interesting to me, because this does feel so separate, and then for them not to even continue it, that means they'll try to tie him in with either someone else's movie or give him his own movie.
Yeah, that's where I have a problem with it, because I had fun with it pretty much throughout the entire thing. I thought it was cute and funny and actiony, and I don't know why it's called Moon Knight. It should just be called like Stephen Grant and Mark Spector, because Moon Knight's not even in like 3 episodes. Yeah, it's half of the fucking thing.
And that's a good point. It's kind of a reverse origin story because you get most of the kind of Moon Knight stuff in the front, and then it's like he loses his power so fast, and then it's more of a Tomb Raider-y kind of.
Yeah, which I enjoyed all that stuff. Yeah. I like little weird fantasy Egyptian spiritualness. I didn't have any problems with that. The lack of continuation, I guess, is where it really kind of, all right, well, you set it up, you didn't really give me too much, and that's it.
Yeah, I wonder how much that is set in stone, whether they will do a season 2, or like Mike said, is the plan to just like work him into some other movies or other shows or anything like that. I think they can go in a lot of directions as far as that goes. I think so many things are just like in flux with Marvel right now. Their whole release calendar was like screwed up very recently, like in the last 3 releases, they had to change chronology and stuff like that. And
but that's done happened.
Yeah, well, I just think like, and they're probably measuring the success, how, and I haven't heard anything whether like Moon Knight has been, I think early on it was getting a lot of views and stuff. There were some published numbers early on, like, oh, the first episode was like the second most viewed of the like Marvel shows or something. I think after, like, I think it was like the Loki premiere, and then it was like the Moon Knight premiere, I think, was like the second most popular view or whatever.
Which I find that fascinating though, because like you've said, you didn't even know who Moon Knight really was. I didn't know who Moon Knight really was. Like, to go from, we have shows coming out about characters that we know and love and have seen for 15 years, but a new character who we have nothing really attached to so far besides comic books, and it's the second most watched. It's interesting.
Yeah, and I think some of it has to do with just like the building nature of all of these stories. Like I think Loki generally like was really well received. It was like viewed a lot, and then also when everything was said and done, I think people generally are saying like this is the best kind of Marvel show that they've come out with now on Disney Plus, and I think they've just kind of built on that. Like, there's so much, and it's just like, oh, okay, we got Hawkeye, we got Falcon Winter Soldier, we've got WandaVision, and I think and Disney Plus has grown as well, just in subscriber count and stuff. So I think it's just people logging out. Oh, Marvel's got a new thing. I don't know who Moon Knight is or whatever, but
it's got Oscar Isaac. I'll check it out.
Yeah, I gotta check it out. It looks cool, and the assumption being, I think a lot of people probably went into it thinking like, well, this is like required viewing because everything else has been. WandaVision has led into elements of movies and other things, and so has Loki, and it's all this like interconnected thing for the most part, and maybe Moon Knight's not in a lot of ways. So I think at this point we can go into full spoilers. This will be a spoiler cast at this point going forward. We're not going to hold anything back. So be warned if you're still planning on checking this out or you're not done. But let's talk about it. We only got 6 episodes. It was and yeah, they were roughly like 40 minutes apiece. Did you guys feel like the length and the overall, like what we got, was it enough, too much, not enough, anything like that? How did you feel overall about like the amount of story we got, Mike?
I feel like it was a perfect kind of length. It's just some of the stuff I needed more explaining for. So I don't know, something in the margins needed to help me out with some of that later reveals, or I don't even know if they're reveals. I don't want to jump ahead too far, but there's a whole area or part of the show where I'm not sure if it was real or not. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't. And but I mean, overall, I thought episode 1's probably my favorite out of them all. I think it was kind of setting up something a little different than what we got. But how did you guys feel about the length?
Yeah, I think it is the right length. They just maybe tried to fit too much. I think we mentioned in a previous pod just like our overall thoughts. It felt very like Eternals-y, where they're building a entire mythology and stuff. Like now we have Egyptian gods are a thing in the MCU, and they make them out about middle episodes in this. They make them out to be like very important, it seems, in the way they interact with the human world and superpowered beings and stuff like that. That they matter, in a way to the MCU and to the world. And that's hard to introduce when you got like roughly like 3 hours of stuff that you're trying to like introduce an entire new universe, really, kind of like just throw it in there. What did you feel about that, Kayla?
Well, just I wanted to say that you've mentioned Eternals twice within the Moon Knight, and I know that was, at least I've heard, one of the planned cameos or crossovers or connections. It was planned to be a part of Eternals. Now, I don't know if they were like, ooh, that didn't do so good, so scratch that. Let's not even attach it to Eternals. And so maybe that means we won't see Eternals go anywhere. It would be interesting. I mean, they've failed and come back before. I mean, Hulk is the Hulk we know and love, but wasn't always.
Thor as well is way different.
Yeah. So I like the time. I think that this time is fine. Like 40 minutes, 6 episodes. That sounds like great. Ideally to me. I liked it. I didn't have any real big problems with it, especially like I think what you were referring to is like the asylum part, Mike.
Yeah.
It's just in his head.
Do we know that? Who knows?
Oh, no.
In his head. I mean, so we were introduced to Steven. He straps himself to his bed at night, so to prevent himself from like this sleepwalking thing. He works at the gift shop at a museum, but is like hyper knowledgeable about Egyptian history and everything. And he just like is kind of going out through his day, and then like wakes up in like the Swiss Alps or something like this, like, or some kind of European like little like mountain village, and like people are chased, like armed men with guns are chasing him, and he has no idea what's going on, and he has this golden scarab, and he wanders onto this village and sees Ethan Hawke, who like starts performing this ritual and drains this woman of her life. Is sprouting balance, and were you a good person in this life, and in you're the rest of your life or whatever. And you see this tattoo of these scales move on his wrist or whatever, and we go on from there. The first episode introduces this cool concept where Steven kind of just blacks out and then wakes up, and there's just like he took out a whole bunch of dudes, like just like annihilates all of them. But you don't get to see like he's changing personalities at this point. There's someone else there.
You're with Steven.
Yeah, but we're only with Steven so far. And I thought that whole thing is cool. There's a really cool car chase sequence after this, where it's jumping back and forth between this other personality and Steven, and this other personality is James Bond, and or somebody who can just super soldier or something. And but we're still going back to Steven. He's just like, I know this nervous Englishman thing. Like, imagine Hugh Grant, like in Oscar Isaac's body, and that's what we get with this first episode, really.
Yeah, you mentioned like the uneven nature of the show, and it's pretty. That's a good term, because like the first like 2 episodes, it's almost like this mystery, because you don't know what's going on with Steven. Okay, yeah, he's this mild-mannered guy just trying to like make his life, who blacks out and like loses whole days and stuff, and you're like, what is going on here? And then quickly it kind of goes 0 to 60 of like, oh yeah, don't worry about any of that, don't, like, whatever. Now there's Mark, there's this alter ego, and he's yeah, like you said, like a secret agent almost, or whatever. And now we're gonna do all this like globe trotting Egyptian stuff. We're going to go to Cairo. We're going to do Tomb Raider type adventure stuff. We're going to be in the desert and everything else. And don't worry about all that, the mystery kind of aspect. Like we're shifting tones in a big way. And then like in the back end of like last 2 episodes, it becomes very fantastistical. You know, I don't think it's crazy to say when you said like, yeah, I don't really know what was going on there exactly. Like, I have a theory, but we've got like characters coming back from the dead and gods inhabiting bodies, and like what are the rules here in a lot of ways? It's like what happened?
Yeah, these gods can pick an avatar that they can kind of live through on Earth, and we find out that Steven, one of Steven's personalities, has become an avatar for Khonshu, the Egyptian god of the moon, I guess.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And Ethan Hawke's character is who is a former avatar of Khonshu, is trying to awaken the god Amet, who is just like the god of judging. I don't know, like
justice or something, I think.
Like, and Amet will basically like minority report the world, and if Amet knows if you are going to like commit any kind of, you know, cardinal sin, I guess, or something, and will judge you on the spot for that, and you will be he will steal your soul. Like right away, I guess. And that's what Ethan Hawke is about. He's this pajama wearing cult leader who's just will stop at nothing to awaken Amet, and can just work his way out of any situation, even in a room full of gods, which was kind of weird.
I think some of the concepts that it brings up of like gods beaming into people, and that's what gives them their superpowers and stuff like that, or even just like,
does it give them all superpowers?
I don't know. I mean, it gives 2 of them. It gives Ethan Hawke superpowers, and it gives Oscar Isaac superpowers. So
and
Layla.
Right.
Talwart.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it. Talawit. But I was like, so there's cool concepts here. Like the gods, I like their design. Like especially like Khonshu is like this kind of mummy, but like with a bird head, like a bird skull. It very much felt like a Elden Ring boss or something.
Yeah, Death Bird, for sure.
And like Amet's a giant like crocodile in Egyptian garb and stuff, and like just there's cool designs there, and even just the concept of like Amet's whole thing is like, I'm gonna prejudge people, like I can see into their future and judge them on any deed that they might do in the future. And then Khonshu is more of a like, okay, let them commit a sin or whatever else, and then I'll judge them, and I'll do it very harshly. Those concepts are really cool and huge concepts. You mentioned like Minority Report. Yeah, it's kind of that. But yeah, the execution's a little iffy. Like even who's good and who's bad is a little like questionable. I don't know. It seems it shifts a lot.
Yeah, it's it just seemed real easy to get over on these gods that are protecting this almighty power here. It didn't seem like they had any, like, I don't know, formidable powers at all.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I didn't pick up on that part too.
Because they just get punked out at the, at the end there by Ethan Hawke. But yeah, the middle thing is trying to discover Amit's tomb and stuff. Khonshu at this time, like, Ethan Hawke convinces the gods to banish Khonshu and the statue. So Steven and Mark, who Mark has become like just kind of out there. Isaac is bouncing back and forth between two characters at will. And they don't have powers at this point. They're introduced to Mark's wife, Layla, who's played by May Kalamai. She has. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that last name. And they discover the location of Amit. Things go poorly for Mark and Steven at this point, and they're dead. And you're introduced to this kind of mental facility at this point. It's all like kind of white-walled, kind of place. And Mark and Steven have been in this place the whole time, it seems. And this is when we're interested. What is real? What's not? Like, was this whole adventure happening? Is it just in Mark's head? What is going on here? And this is where the show just kind of got real, I don't want to say messy, but just foggy, I guess, for me at this point.
Yeah, Ethan Hawke at that time is like his doctor. He's like in therapy with him. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's messy, like, because I still don't understand, like, okay, how did Mark and Steven come back to life? Because that's what ends up, like, this all happens. There's like basically the back half of episode 5 and then the front half of episode 6 is them kind of being in this mental institution and everything else, but they're being told, like, oh, it's in your head. Oh, but you're also dead, maybe. Because in the real world or whatever, we just saw them get shot. And eventually they just come back from it. Like, somehow through understanding their trauma or something. Because we get some flashbacks of their early days and how kind of Steven was created and things of that nature. And I loved that part. I thought it was really cool, and the mystery of it all was really interesting to me. Just like flipping, because it was such a, like, just switch that they flipped of, like, okay, we got this action thing, they get shot, they're dying, and then now we're in this weird purgatory thing, and what's the deal? Was it all in his head? All that kind of stuff. I thought it was real compelling, but I didn't understand it whatsoever. I need a guide or something to figure out, like, how did he come back to life? What, like, it's in his head, but it's also heaven, because they like do a lot of Egyptian mythology, like they're the Field of Reeds and stuff. I remember Assassin's Creed Origins, the video game, deals with that a lot. So it's like their version of like paradise, heaven, whatever. Yeah, it's weird because it's like, okay, is he dead and he's in heaven, or is he in this asylum in his head? I still don't have an answer for that. But it was real compelling. 3
different things happening. We still have the stuff happening in Egypt. We have this asylum stuff happening, and then we have this like afterlife stuff going on. And man, it's a lot.
The afterlife stuff is the asylum stuff. And they say, yes, you.
But he's
in your head, you
back
make it
and
something
forth between those two places.
He just runs in a door, and then it's the asylum. He's still on the boat.
He's flipping from talking to sexy Ned Flanders, Ethan Hawke, and then like he'll snap back to talking to the big hippo god, and in another part of the asylum, and then they're showing Layla what she's doing. So it is like three different things. Like
it is messy.
Yeah, it's a lot, and I don't know which was real, and we'll talk about it in Doctor Strange, which introduces a whole other multiversal thing, and I don't know if this was that, like, kind of, because the Egypt stuff and the asylum stuff should not, like, it doesn't make sense how that's the same timeline. Like,
the time was definitely, like, the time frame that all of this was occurring was definitely, like, we've used the term messy a bunch here, I'm going to use it again, that it was the most messy, because, like, there's, like, this time constraint of Ethan Hawke's character is, and I still don't know his name, but, you know, creepy hippie guy, Harrow? Yeah, Dr. Harrow, or whatever, yeah, whether he was a doctor. Like, there's this time constraint of he's summoning a god and stuff to judge the entire world, so there's like, all right, it's a race against the clock, but then it's not, because it's like, he just goes away in a sense. We don't see him for like an entire episode, which should only be like an hour's time or something. He had to go from like one tomb to another tomb to like summon a god or something, but really we get a whole episode's worth of stuff of like going into their backstory, how Steven was created. They're fighting zombies in the afterlife. They're in an asylum, I guess, because it's all wishy-washy mystical stuff. It could be all happening in like a very short amount of time. But then we also see Layla. Work the
same for living and dead people.
Yeah, I guess so. But then we also see Layla in the real world or whatever, perfectly alive and stuff. And that seemed like the timeline in there was in a show that was already confusing enough. Like the timeline of when these all are occurring was real messy for me. I was real confused. But also super compelled because it all was cool. I liked the Field of Reeds and like the Noah's Ark that they were on and stuff. I loved a lot of the visuals. I thought Toilet or whatever that god, the hippo god, was like funny and cool. Yeah. I liked a lot of that stuff. So it's a real weird, like the show overall is just real weird for me because there were things that I was like, oh man, this is real cool. Like moment to moment, this is cool. But like it did not fit together at all for me.
It's a little strange.
Yeah, I think the show nailed what people were kind of worried about. The hard part, the mental illness part. I think it portrayed that really well. That whole 5th, 6th episode of diving deep into how Mark just kind of developed this other personality as a young boy and stuff is really tragic and compelling stuff and was really well done. But the superhero-y part, like all that stuff was really really fumbled. The easy stuff that they do pretty well normally.
Kayla mentioned it. Yeah, it's almost weird to be called Moon Knight. Of course, that's the only title you would title it, but like Moon Knight, the character's not in the show very much at all. Like there's not a lot of just like him fighting crime or whatever, you know.
Yeah, you get instances where Mark has to defend himself from like a weird jackal demon or something, or fighting a group of bad guys at the end. And when Moon Knight's out there, it's pretty cool, especially because the two personalities will have different costumes. And when Steven has it, it's like a gentlemanly tuxedo worn Moon Knight. And when Mark is, it's more of a, you know,
superhero
Assassin's Creed kind of looking cowl and style to it. Yeah. Absolutely. And it's cool. I've seen it described as like kind of Deadpool-y in a way, just the overall kind of way the costume look, the mask is, and just the humor, I guess, when these two are kind of bickering back and forth at each other. Steven and Mark and stuff.
Yeah, I think Deadpool's a better comparison than like Batman. I think early on, people, at least to me, were making like, oh, it's kind of a Batman story in a sense, and I didn't necessarily get that as much as it's kind of a Deadpool.
Super healing powers, so Deadpool is much better than Batman in that consideration. I mean, so he's dead. He's trying to balance his scales between Mark and Steven. And they go and they dig. I think, of course, Oscar Isaac does a great job. I think he's listening to all of these. I'm like, man, was I just like blindsided by Oscar Isaac? Like, did he just carry me through it because he was so fun to watch? I think so, but they figure out how to balance the scales, and at the same time, because Layla's in the pyramid, awaking, like releasing Khonshu, right? Because he was instoned, and she releases him. Mark and Steven agree to be Moon Knight again with stipulations, and that's how he comes back to life, because he gets his healing ability back, right?
Right, and this leads to our big final battle. You got two gods fighting, and then you have the kind of ground fight with Layla, who has become the avatar herself. She becomes cool Falcon at this point.
Scarlet Scarab, I think, is her.
Yes,
Ooh.
yeah. This is
what Scarab?
Scarlet Scarab, I think.
Oh, come on! They couldn't have done better than that.
Well,
yeah, right. Well,
Marvel loves alliteration.
They love some Scarlet. Let's get Scarlett Johansson, not to play Scarlet Witch, and have another Scarlet.
Oh yeah, man.
That's wow. That's a lot of stuff. You're right. Big brain time, Kayla. Way to go.
We have a niece named Scarlet. Let's just get her in.
Yes.
And she's got a place there.
Yeah. I thought the coolest thing, you mentioned how like they have two different costumes, like standard Moon Knight, Mark, I guess, Moon Knight, and then Steven's Moon Knight. There's Gentleman's, yeah, exactly. Like I did like, there was just, it's like a half a scene, but like during their fight, they finally, I guess, figure out how to like work together in that sense, and like transform on the fly in a sense, like, and there's some cool stuff where one's like fighting and then they transform into the other and stuff like that. It was kind of fun near the end.
Yeah, and that part's real messy too, because at first it's like, okay, Mark is the fighter and Steven is like the intelligent one wwho could figure out, the puzzles in these two maps like that, and then all of a sudden Steven's like fucking wielding batons and beating the shit out of some people, and it's like, okay, does he just kind of know how to fight because of Mark and the suit and stuff? And it's just a little nitpicky kind of thing.
There's a lot of stuff that they just don't want you to think about, I think. Like, it's just like...
Oh, yeah, this show does not want you to really stop and like...
Yeah. But I guess we could get into kind of the ending, we get a post-credit scene, and where this all leaves us. Kayla mentioned that there's not plans for a season 2. We've also, all said that it didn't feel super connected to the rest of the MCU. There's like a Madripoor reference at one point, and I think that's about it in terms of like even...
Oh, I caught
a timeline. Like, we don't really even know, is this like, I guess we kind of all assume it's the current time post blip and all of that, but like, I don't know that do they give us a year? Do they give us anything to even indicate that this could be happening in 2005 or something potentially, right? Like,
yeah, they don't mention like the blip or anything in this, so it is tough to know.
Well, Mark be blipping all the time. He doesn't.
Right.
Fuck.
Yeah.
He's got no idea.
Yeah, it's interesting if they ever play with that, like that. This doesn't have to be, at least from what they've done, this doesn't have to be happening right now. It could be pre-blip. It could be 10 years ago, like during the events of the first Avengers or something. Maybe that would even make more sense. Why?
Could be World 432.
Sure, yeah. We'll get into that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
But I guess I'll mention the post-credit scene. So Moon Knight saves the day at the end of the, of course, everything's kind of back to normal. They're done with Khonshu. At least, like, Mark and Steven have said, we don't want to be, in your service anymore. We don't want to be Moon Knight.
Mark and Layla do not kill Harrow.
Right,
that was like the choice of, no, I'm not going to be Khonshu, I'm going to be Mark, and we'll leave him in this pyramid. I don't know what they were going to do with him.
Yeah, they imprison Ahmet in Harrow's body, similar to how they imprisoned Khonshu in like a statue, and Harrow's just they just leave him there supposedly, but then the asylum, they bounce back to the asylum Harrow, right? That version.
Well, he's in an asylum, so I think the like.
Oh, he goes to the place between. He's probably on the boat.
Yeah, I think he's trapped in his own mind in a similar way to. I think what they're trying to say is, like, every time Mark is inhabiting the body, Steven goes to this asylum, and then vice versa. And I think what they've done is kind of say the same thing about Harrow, is like, they've trapped Ahmed in his body, now his mind, because of that, is also in like a mind prison, maybe?
But he's got to also be in a physical place because of the end credit scene.
It seems like
they go and get him.
Right. It's fucking bullshit. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't think about that before.
Yeah.
During the final fight, there is a point where Mark and Steven both have that kind of blackout from the first kind of episode, and they're like, was that, then there's a whole group of bodies again, and some badass shit happened that we don't get to see. It's off camera. And they're like, was that you? No, I thought that was you that did that. And then we're like, okay, there's another personality, I guess. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the Harrow is brought out to a fancy limousine, and we see Khonshu is in the limousine. And at this point, I'm like, oh, he wants Harrow to be his avatar again or something, because they were once bonded. And no, Khonshu did agree to release Mark and Steven, but it was only because he knew he could get the third personality to be his avatar, who is Jake.
Jake,
I believe.
Yeah. Jake the Snake, I think is what they call him.
And the driver of the limo is Oscar Isaac, who is Jake at this point, and just pulls out a silenced pistol and shoots Ethan Hawke in the face, I guess.
Yeah, and that's how we get our ending. It's very, very odd in a lot of ways, but I guess it's a cool nod to the fact that, like, early on, several scenes when blackouts happen, there is like some brutality to like what's around, and you almost think like, oh, did Mark do that? Is he like just like this awful? And apparently throughout everything we've seen, it was all Jake the whole time, kind of, it seems, doing the real awful stuff. So it's a decent payoff if you're like paying attention throughout the series, but it's like, where does this leave us? Is this even like, intriguing in any way, shape, or form, because of the lack of like connection to anything else we've seen in Marvel or anything? It's a weird way to kind of to end it. I don't know. What did you think, Kayla, about all that?
Hey, my mind is blown now. There were a lot of things I didn't think about with the end credit scenes. Besides, like, initially I was just like, okay, that means we're gonna see more, and then Oscar Isaac is like, no, we're not making any more. And I'm like, what the fuck would you do that for then? Just leave me at, we gave up Moon Knight, it's done. That's how it's done. That's how it's cut off and finished. But then you were like, but no, there's more. But there's not going to be any more from us.
Yeah, they do a clean kind of ending to this messy thing where they trap Harrow or Ahmet in Harrow, and Steven and Mark get rid of Khonshu goes away, and they're kind of at peace at this point. Like, okay, we found the balance, and they awaken kind of in Steven's original shitty apartment bed, shackled to the bed, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess. Like, they're just going to take turns living their lives, I guess. I have no idea. Like, perfect strangers in one body. And then they just add this whole another ring, like, Moon Knight will return, I guess, somehow. I don't know.
Yeah. So, what do we think, just overall? Do we think we'd recommend... I'm having trouble with this one, like whether I'd recommend it to someone, because it's almost, in a sense, you can make the argument that you could recommend it to more people than a lot of Marvel stuff, because this is such a standalone thing where you don't have to really know anything about Thanos or the Avengers or anything like that, and you just want to watch 6 episodes of an action show that has like superheroes in it or whatever. Maybe it's a recommend, but not for Marvel people. I don't know. It's a weird thing. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I guess it is easier to recommend to just people who are digging kind of an Indiana Jonesy superhero kind of feel. Mm-hmm. If you're an Oscar Isaac fan, check it out, because he's great in it. If you're just a fan of Egyptian lore kind of stuff, there's a lot of cool spaces in this movie or show. Mm-hmm. I wish it was a movie, by the way. I think it would have been better as a movie. I don't know. We usually grade these things going in. I'm going to stick with my 7, but it's a low 7 for me. I think just Isaac keeps it at that 7 for me. But it's just sloppy. I don't know. It's not as tight as what Marvel things normally are. As far as keeping things together, there's so many moving weird parts now that I think this is going to be a trend, unfortunately.
How about you, Kayla?
Am I giving numbers?
You can. Yeah, it's fine.
Like,
Might give it a 7.
More of it. I was thinking 7 the whole time too. I would call it a solid 7.
Oh, a little higher than Mike's 7. I got you.
I agree. Oscar Isaac, like, literally is. I'm dream walking with Oscar Isaac on this movie. So.
God, spoilers for Doctor Strange.
If you know.
I'd have to agree with like a 7-ish, because there's some things to really like. Oscar Isaac is really good. He's a standout. He pulls it along. I think you can, if you just watch what he's doing and want to just like have fun with him, you can have a good time here. But it's confusing. It's messy. All the words we've kind of used. Filler, yeah, that's
a lot of filler.
It feels like a if this was like a long running anime or something. These are some filler episodes, in a sense. 7, solid, 7.
I think that's the first time we've ever
been across the board.
Yeah.
And let's go to the casino. 777. Yeah. Ding, ding.
Yeah. So Moon Knight available on Disney Plus. Go. Give it a shot. If you like the tone, I would say, of like just being kind of confused and disoriented that it kind of brings early on, that keeps up, in my opinion. So, if you're not thrown off by that or turned off by that, then maybe, just keep going. We said we had 2 things, and we have another Marvel thing. A movie was just released, Doctor Strange 2 in the Multiverse of Madness, right? In the multiverse, not and, right?
I thought it was and.
Is it and? Okay. It's
right.
In or and.
Here we go. We need to find this.
It's a long title, man.
It's in.
See? Don't ever question the host. I mean, he knows everything.
Edit that out. Yeah.
No, so this will also be a full spoiler cast. We can, no holds barred. This is a big movie. It's doing a lot of things, so we got to really get into it. Just to kind of spoil my thoughts, I think I might love this movie, guys. I think I left this movie thinking this might be my second or third favorite. It might be a top 5 for me Marvel movie.
Wow.
I'm still in the afterglow. This was just less than 24 hours ago at this point. But Sam Raimi, man, I dig his stuff, and I see him all over this movie. But just overall impressions for you guys. Mike started last time. Kayla started off.
Uh-oh.
There are parts in it that I could do without, but I overall liked it. If I could just kind of cut out one part,
Ooh, okay.
I would like it more. I have some issues just out of I want to like Scarlet Witch. I think her costume's so fucking cool, and I want to dress up like that.
You still can. Why can't you?
But I don't really like her.
Her decision making.
Just overall it's just not a vibe that I carry as well to go mad over my children.
Feel ya.
That I made up.
How about you, Mike?
Oh man, I really enjoyed it. I remember walking out of the first Doctor Strange and really kind of had the same exact feeling for both films. I think I like this one more than that one, but just I don't think it doesn't stand with the Titans, your end games and stuff like that for me. But as far as that next tier of Marvel, I think it's right in there at the top, and thought it was so much fun.
Yeah, it really was, and I got it from some very, very early moments on it. For me, very early on in the movie, we go from 0 to 60 because we got Rachel McAdams' character. What is her name? Christine. Yeah, so the love of Doctor Strange's life. She's marrying someone else. We get that's going on. And then immediately there's just this crazy commotion outside. With this space monster, and in those scenes, it was so. I felt the Sam Raimi of it all. I felt the
it feels like Spider-Man, those.
It did.
The look immediately, the whole look of the streets and all the signage and everything, and the little bodegas and stuff. It's this feels like that version of New York City, right off the bat. Yeah, I agree.
And I've not. The first Doctor Strange was fine for me. I left that movie just this is fine. And magic in general in the MCU, I've had a weird connection to lack of a connection to. I haven't thought that's as cool.
You guys think too much about it. Just let it be.
Yeah, I just haven't had that connection until kind of this movie. That early scene, but also just throughout it, they do some really, really cool stuff with both Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch's powers, the different things that they can do. There's early on, Doctor Strange summons 2 hands, ghost hands, giant ghost hands to grab and throw things and beat the shit out of this giant squid monster, and it's just it felt very Sam Raimi, Evil Dead kind of ghoulish stuff, but also that just fit really well to oh yeah, this dude knows magic and stuff. He can summon ghost hands and stuff. Yeah, I think they've done a better job in this one than even Doctor Strange gets a lot of work in Infinity War, and he gets to cast some cool spells and stuff. But I think they just topped out his abilities and stuff in this one in a lot of ways early on.
Yeah, the movie just gets started so quickly. Before that scene, even we're immediately introduced to a new character and a different Doctor Strange. He's got a cool like ponytail thing going on.
It's like a shaved head pony with the white streak.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
It's like shaved underneath.
yeah. He's with a young girl, and they are running from this. Like they're in this weird dimension-looking place, and they're running from this monster. And things go poorly, and we find out she has the ability to travel through multiverses. And this is America Chavez, who I didn't really know anything about, but really, really dug her in this movie. I thought she was a great part. And she is transferred to the multiverse that we know in the MCU. And she has brought like a weird monster with her, and that is the fight that Eric brought up that comes up, and after that, yeah, we are in some multiverse shit after that for sure.
And it's
if we were kind of knee deep in it with Spider-Man, we're about drowning now.
What did you think of, Mike mentioned, America Chavez becomes kind of the center. She's kind of the MacGuffin of the entire movie.
One of the two, yeah.
Yeah, and what did you think of her overall, Kayla? Because this is one I got some gripes with America Chavez myself.
Oh no.
I thought it was very light. She's kind of just there. She doesn't really have a lot of lines or acting, really. There's just like 2 big scenes that she's a part of, and then like little one-liners throughout. So I just don't feel like she was used very much.
Yeah, I've heard it described like their relationship looks a lot like Tony Stark and Spider-Man, Peter Parker. You know, it seems like it's that type of role that they're trying to do. Oh. Did you get that feel?
I can see how people want to make that comparison, but you just cannot. Like Mike used the word Titan earlier. Like the Peter Parker Iron Man is top tier. Like they may have tried, but they did more like not even Rick and Morty thing. They like some other grown person, young person combo that was.
I actually like the Rick and Morty comp. I didn't think of that. That's pretty good. That's fun.
That is pretty good. Yeah, with the whole dimension
crazy
hopping.
Doctor Strange.
Yeah, and Doctor Strange is such a like kind of an a-hole in a lot of ways, so it fits there too. Like, that's interesting.
He's supposed to be.
Yeah, we can get into more of the plot. I guess I'll put a pin in my America Chavez thoughts for a little bit, but I got a lot of thoughts. But we get introduced, so Doctor Strange has to figure out what is going on. Who is this young girl? Okay, she's got the power to. She tells him like, hey, I can jump between multiverses and stuff, but I can't really figure out how to do it. I'm being chased. The entire movie is kind of like one big chase scene in a sense, because she is being pursued throughout the whole thing, and we don't know who, but we get a nice little like connection to the rest of the MCU and everything else. We get Doctor Strange meeting back up with Scarlet Witch, with Wanda, and we get a lot of talk of like WandaVision, like what has happened. She assumes he's coming there to like arrest her or whatever you would do as Doctor Strange. So they have an interesting talk in like a field of an apple orchard or something. I thought that scene was real cool because there's like a tension there, and they're both, I think, the standouts of the movie. The Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch and Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. I think they pull the plot along. Every time they're on screen are my favorite scenes and stuff. And this is the first time they get to like kind of go head to head, not fighting but talking. What did you guys think of her introduction and everything else?
Oh, it was great. I remember when they first introduced that orchard kind of area that she's living in now. I was thinking back to the end of Wanda where they show her in that cabin. I'm like, man, did it look like this? But then I just pushed that aside. Like, who cares? Like, she can alter reality. None of that matters really. because she immediately like pulls the veil off of that shit and shows, you know, her true intentions and her headspace since WandaVision. And I know Kayla had an issue with that, but I thought it totally made sense with where, you know, with this being a continuation off of that. This is really a sequel to WandaVision, honestly.
It is. I thought What If was going to play a part in this, and it did not. The only thing I think it did was harm this now.
Oh, really?
But WandaVision, absolutely, you can't understand anything that's happening in this if you haven't watched WandaVision. But also, they don't touch on everything that happened in WandaVision. Like, they don't ever mention Vision. Like, they should have just called that Wanda Maximoff, I guess.
Yeah, I wanted to pick your brain on that, Kayla, because Wanda's a really cool character in this. I think she gets a lot of really good screen time, and we get to really dig into her in a lot of the same ways that we did in WandaVision. But it seems like they could have built it up a little more, like the heel turn,
it's real fast.
It's so fast. It's like they want you to think like, oh yeah, they're going to work together. Like Wanda and Doctor Strange are going to work together.
Like, this sounds like witchcraft. I know who to call.
Yeah, and that's kind of cool.
The witch is behind it.
Right. It sure does sound like witchcraft. And you should say that.
It's so immediate because that's what we find out is like she's been the one hunting America Chavez. I guess in the background we haven't seen it other than the first scene of this movie, but apparently it's been going on for some time. It seems at least I guess exactly like post WandaVision probably that's what she's devoted herself to. I guess.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention a little something about America. Sorry, you just reminded me of it. She does seem like she's like well versed. She seems like she's been around the block. She's I guess a young kid living on her own who can travel the multiverse. You better figure some shit out, but she's like seems like she is familiar.
She mentions it she puts a number to it at one point when asked. I think Doctor Strange asks her like, "Oh, how many multiverses?"
Like
she's like, yeah, I've been to like 74 multiverses or something. So yeah, and who knows how long she stayed in any of them, but you can kind of do the math.
She's like, oh yeah, it's a demon summoned by somebody who come and gets me. You don't know that?
Yeah.
She says she really can only use her power when she's like at her most afraid. So if she's shifted that, she's been afraid in a lot of different places, man. She's seen some fucked up shit.
Yeah, but she's not okay. I'm gonna jump into that just because it's so weird. Her only when I'm afraid. Spoiler alert: Illuminati's in this. They're all super powerful, and they're like, "Oh, Scarlet Witch, we're not afraid of her. We're afraid of you, Doctor Strange." And we can elaborate, but long story short, to get to my point, she kills them all brutally in Sam Raimi style, and then is just walking towards America and Rachel McAdams, and she's not fucking scared. She's not scared enough to just say, "Fuck this, I'm out."
Yeah, there's like a lot of opportunities where she could have been a little more scared.
She's not fucking scared. I'm scared.
Well, at the beginning, like this. When she uses it at the beginning of the movie, the monster literally has her by her limbs, and it is the moment before she's going to die. So I think they kind of do set that up a little bit. To bring it back to the Scarlet Witch part of it. I liked that they did the turn right away. I did not want to drug out Agatha all along type thing with this. Scarlet Witch was behind it. No mystery. Let's get this shit fucking going. And we fucking move. We are moving, man. Because she is like, give me America Chavez peacefully, or I'm gonna fucking, I will be Scarlet Witch on your ass. And they go to, we go to the like magic stronghold, which we've seen in other films.
Camertage.
Yeah. And they are prepped for her to come and try to take America Chavez. And man, this scene really is fucking awesome. You just see this black cloud rolling in towards the stronghold, and it was a real like fucking badass Magneto moment. She just fucking levitates out of the cloud and is full just villain at this point. And I really dug it. There's so many just great visual moments in this movie, and that was one of them for me.
Yeah, it's like a siege. Like it's like in a medieval like Braveheart or something. You know, the evil army is going to come and attack the castle or whatever. It's very much that. And Marvel's done a lot of weird, like in Infinity War, they've done these like big, huge, like one army versus another battles, and some of them like are hit or miss. I felt this one was so awesome, so well done, because it really like Wanda got to use all of her various abilities, kind of for the first time ever in like a big way. You know, she's always been kind of on the backside, or like she'll do, I'm going to shoot a magic bolt or something here or there in a fight, like in movies and shows she's been in. But like she got to fully show that she can control people's minds. She can materialize out of different things. She can, shoot magic powers and blow things up and do all kinds, levitate, and just like everything she can do. But then also on the other side, you've got Doctor Strange and all his like disciples and Wong and stuff, and they've got some cool like powers and stuff too. And it's magic versus magic, 1 versus like 100, and you know, Wanda wins. she like takes them down and has to like kind of figure out some things, because they've got traps, they've got like different weapons, they've got magical powers and also magical weapons, and she kind of like methodically takes them all down using various aspects of her power, and it's so much fun. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, who has the upper hand keeps changing through this sequence, and it's like, oh, they got her in this weird, trapped her in this like Hall of Mirrors type room, but she fucking can Scarlet Witch out of that. She like, it's just how do
like,
stop
mirrors?
She's a Terminator at this point. Yeah, and we really get to see. Yeah, she is scary. Scarlet Witch is not to be fucked with. She's creepy as hell, and man, this whole scene was cool. And we saw a little bit of it in Age of Ultron, the mind control, the where she whispers into your ear and can just. She sees the wink link. All of these sorcerers are holding up a shield, and she's like, that's the one I can tell him just to run. And he fumbles into a bunch of other people. The shield comes down, and she is just, blasting fools, and it's great.
Generic Hayden Christensen, I think, is that character's name.
Yes. And they focus on this like guy in the background a few times before then. You're like, oh, okay, something's gonna come up with that guy.
He had some good hair.
Yeah.
They missed out on. They showed him like several times in the trailer and stuff, and he's in the scene. There's like a Minotaur, which like
I think he's come up before. I think they've shown that cow man.
I was hoping he was gonna do something cool, but no, he just gets his ass kicked like pretty quick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't really deliver. You would want him to.
Yeah.
Everybody gets their ass kicked in this movie, man.
Oh. Yeah, you mentioned like how scary she is. She does like the ring thing at one point, like comes out of a mirror and does like the weird disjointed thing. And it's terrifying.
Yeah, very Ring, very Pennywise in the newest It version, coming out like cracking your bone, like just like all right, that feels good kind of moment.
And there's stuff like that in Evil Dead too. So obviously, it's Sam Raimi pulling from Sam Raimi. You know, like
it's such a change of pace. I felt for Marvel, but such a breath of fresh air.
Certainly, the scariest kind of stuff. Yeah.
There's definitely children in the theater, and I was like, oh, he just fell on spikes. That was a little intense.
Yeah,
that eyeball just flew out of that head.
That's a good point. I took an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old to see this, and I was kind of worried, like, I think this is going to be a little on the scarier side. And in that opening battle, when Strange summons those hands and they do a full-on Neversoft logo and pull out the eye, he just impales this eye with like a post of some kind and pulls the eyeball out. And Owen, the 8-year-old sitting next to me, he's like, that was scary. I knew Greg, the 6-year-old, who's kind of hardcore into this kind of shit, was like, he loved it. He loved every weird, gross horror thing in this. Whereas Owen was a bit taken aback. I don't think he was anticipating to see. He's like, why was that so blood? What? Oh my god! Like,
yeah, it was
ready for that. Yeah, this is kind of a different tone. It's not full on like R-rated Logan stuff going on, but it is a bit. It's a mature
audience. For sure.
It's as close. I think they like skirted that PG-13 R line in a lot of ways, especially for a Marvel movie. Kayla mentioned it, but that scene that you're talking about at the beginning, me and Greg are buds because I leaned over to Kayla and I'm like, man, that's Sam Raimi. This is a Sam Raimi movie. I was like, this is gross and like horrifying.
My first words after saying this, when Eric asked me, "Oh, what did you think?" and I was like, "That was a lot of death. There was a lot of people like on screen dying. Like obviously, a lot of people died in New York City. I know that. I know a lot of people died in their town. I know that the people die obviously when the Avengers come in and wreck the fucking town.
It's all off screen usually,
right? So this is like, oh, we're gonna just watch a lot of people die in this movie."
Yeah, you mentioned it a bit earlier, but in the middle of the movie, and unfortunately this was very much like spoiled in the trailers. It's one of the things that like really sucked about like the first, I think, Doctor Strange trailer spoiled the fact that we're getting, or people just pretty much assumed it from that first trailer was like, oh, we're getting the Illuminati, which are these, the best of the best superheroes, I guess. They control or like oversee the multiverse and kind of protect the world from all that. So we get that. We go to this another multiverse. We go to another version of the MCU with
that
Doctor
scene
Strange.
When they're traveling through, when they escape Scarlet, Doctor Strange and America do. And they go through like 30 different like planes really fast, and you see like a prehistoric one and a version where they're just made of paint, and where they're fully animated, and a version where like it's so
very cartoon. So it's very
comic, like,
comic,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just as visually that part again, so cool, and they eventually go to this like weird. Futuristic-y looking version of New York.
And it's so cool too. I think that one's done really well because everything's like flowers. So like all the buildings and stuff have a lot of greenery and stuff, and you could see like, oh, in a utopia, people would like be cool with the environment, right? They'd live in the environment. But if you looked at all the people, their costumes and stuff, everyone was wearing black and white. Like no one had color in the world was super colorful. Flowers everywhere and everything else, but if there were a lot of people just walking around, it's like New York or whatever, and everyone just had black and white clothes on. It was really just a weird like kind of design choice that I really dug. I don't know what that means. Like maybe those are all like recyclable clothes or something, and they're super eco-friendly or something. But it's just interesting. We'll never know. But yeah, so with the Illuminati and in this new world, essentially they arrest Doctor Strange and America Chavez, and because they've been breaking the rules in a sense, you're not supposed to go into these different multiverses, and specifically because I guess Doctor Strange, even in other universes, has this tendency to fuck things up. Like he has been in multiple different universes. He has caused havoc by, he's got his heart in the right place, but we see that like oftentimes he is the reason that things go wrong. He's destroyed whole universes, apparently, with his meddling with time and with space and multiverses. So they're kind of going to judge him on the crimes of other Doctor Stranges, but we get the big reveal of who the Illuminati are in this universe. And I mentioned it was spoiled in the trailer, but we get Patrick Stewart as Professor X. We even get the little X-Men tune, which was...
Oh my God. You could have struck me down right then and there. I would have died like the happiest I've ever... It would just to see him in the yellow, like floating wheelchair thing, and just to hear that... Oh man, I don't know. The hairs on the back of my neck stood. It was fantastic. I just marked out so much for that.
Did you say it was fantastic?
Final member reveal. Yeah. Yeah. We're in. So we have a Black Bolt, right? Is in the Illuminati.
Yeah. Who is that?
He is an Inhuman, which they tried to do that show. It is the same actor from that show. It is the same, I guess, character from that show and brought back from the Inhumans. We have Maria Rambeau coming back from Captain Marvel, who is Monica Rambeau's mother in that. There's been parts in the comic where she is Captain Marvel. We get to see Captain Carter.
What if?
Again, one of our big what if things coming through here. And man, the most intelligent man in the universe, Reed Richards, and it's John Krasinski, who's everyone, one of those things everyone's wanted that for a long time. And we finally get it. And yeah, Professor X, and they're going to cast a vote on what to do with this, with our Doctor Strange.
I sincerely don't give a shit about the Fantastic Four. I wish they didn't exist. I wish that people didn't care so much about them. Honestly, I'm being really harsh about this, but I do not care about them. But seeing John Krasinski, I was like, all right, maybe I do want Fantastic Four if that's who it's going to be, because I dig John Krasinski a lot. Kayla, I mentioned it to Kayla, and she's like, if he directs, that'd be great.
I'll direct it.
Yeah. But no, that was my favorite reveal out of that. It probably would have been Professor X, but unfortunately the trailer kind of ruined that a little bit. But
yeah, that if I could have not have seen that trailer, I would go back and
it would have hit harder.
God damn, that would have.
Can you imagine like the theaters would have exploded. It's one of those weird things, and I'm going to get on a tangent here a little bit about Marvel trailers, but like, who wasn't going to see this movie without the trailer? Like, they've got, it's Marvel is the most bankable property right now in terms of movies. You put out one of these movies, just give it a name, put it out. You don't need to show anything, honestly. People would have come flocking to this movie, and Spider-Man and all of these movies, they're going to be successful. You don't have to do that. And like, because who's in the demographic of like, I'm iffy on this movie. Oh, but I heard Patrick Stewart's voice. Now I'm going to see it. I'm going to see that. That person doesn't exist.
They could have easily just shown like the chairs. Just empty chairs, just like Doctor Strange, like that would have been fine. Like, if you wanted to showcase that it was going to have the Illuminati, but still be like, oh, I don't really know. It just makes no sense. Trailers. They show everything.
This is a weird trend that because No Way Home was so cameo focused, and this, I hope that's not their plan going like, man, we're just going to keep hitting you with these cool cameos, and that's what you're coming for. Because even one of the final Spider-Man trailers spoils the cameos in that with Tobey and Garfield. So, I hope they ease off of that so much, because I did not need to hear that voice. It's not. It was so obvious. I think they were thinking no one would pick up on that. As soon as I was barely kind of even paying attention to that trailer but that voice, I'm like, whoa, what? That was Professor X. Holy shit.
Especially there's some people, like, if you did John Krasinski's voice, you probably could get away with that. But, like, it's Patrick Stewart. It's Sir Patrick Stewart. Yes. Like, come on. Like, get out of here. But we don't have to fucking talk trailers. Whatever. It's over and done with. We get one of the coolest, I think, it's one of both my favorite sequences in this entire movie, and also one where I have such mixed feelings. But like, we get this reveal of the Illuminati, and they are cocky. They're going to judge Doctor Strange. They're, and they are not afraid whatsoever of Scarlet Witch. Doctor Strange is trying to convince them, like, hey, this, the Terminator's coming, guys. You got to get ready. And they're like, no, we're more afraid of you, buddy. And then she comes in, she busts in, she's killing all the Ultron robots and stuff. And then, Professor X kind of says, like, you guys go take care of her. So you got Reed Richards, you got Black Bolt, you have Captain Marvel and Captain Carter. They're gonna go and just like handle Scarlet Witch. And she wipes the floor with them. Like, she murders them in like super brutal ways. This is just another example of like Sam Raimi's touch. Like, the first one to go, we get Black Bolt's brain exploding in his head. Such a cool like scene.
His powers seem to be just from his voice can supersonic. Just obliterate. Yeah, and they're like, they think, well, Black Bolt's gonna kill you right now, Scarlet Witch. With his mouth, and she goes, "What mouth?" And the power just reverberates in his fucking brain, and you see his brain just fucking explode. And so it's like, whoa! It's
without a doubt the most like brutal scene we've probably ever seen in a Marvel movie, right? I mean, just in that that second, it's wild, and she does, basically versions of that to the other four. Reed gets turned into a silly putty, and
she turns him into a fucking Twizzler, man. Like, just peel, like, and she shows you what Scarlet Witch is all about in this scene, man, and she fucking deals with Captain Marvel, no sweat. It seems like Peggy Carter is going to give her a run for her money, and then she just... Is your issue with this how you wish it was R-rated, and you wish you could? Because they do hold back. She throws the shield at Peggy. I guess she cuts her in half. You don't get to really see it. You just see Peggy's face
fall to the ground.
And her reaction to being killed with the shield.
And a bloody shield gets tossed into the wall.
Yeah. Another bloody shield, yes. We get another shot with the
shield. Bloody Captain Shields.
No, my issue, honestly, I think the violence was done well. We can't see everything. We can't see, like, dismemberment and stuff like that. But they pushed the limit anyway. My biggest thing is, and Marvel's had this issue for a long time, the power level issue. Like, we are seeing that, and it really hit me, especially... We get a scene where Professor X like takes control of Scarlet Witch's head. He delves into her mind in the same way he does a ton in the animated series, and I thought that was super cool because it's real tense. It's real scary. She's trapped in some rubble and stuff. She's like trapped in her own mind, and he's trying to pull her out. And then she just like gets behind him and snaps his neck, like and he's just dead. And it's like. All in one, it's really cool. It's such a compelling just sequence. That whole thing is so great of how like they were cocky, they went at her, they thought they were going to take her down, and she wipes the floor with them in like this brutal. Seems like she barely had a sweat, But then also it's like, well, then all right, then she's just unstoppable, then nothing is going to stop her, and we'll get to the end, but like. She gets stopped, so it's just tough. It's just really tough of like, they keep ramping up of like, man, Thanos can do anything. And then for whatever reason, he can't, and then Scarlet Witch is just seems to be even way more powerful than Thanos or than like any big bad we've ever seen. And when you just have that constant ramp up like that, it makes a character like a Captain Carter or something just seem like silly, and then even just it makes a lot of things just seem very, very silly and trivial and stuff like
compared to like what has happened in the past.
Yeah.
Well, I think like she was powerful, but she was in a way timid and naive and manipulated her whole life, and now she's flipped a switch. She's gone full witch. She's like she wasn't ever that powerful, I don't think, until now she has this mental break.
She's been studying that dead hold. You kind of move past that. That's the other MacGuffin in this, is that the Book of the Dead, whatever is supposed to be in this universe, another kind of Sam Raimi ish thing. And she's able to. This movie introduces that when you dream, when you see yourself in this dreams, you're actually seeing another you in another multiverse, and she figures out a way to inhabit the body of one of her other alternate universe selves, and that is how she gets to the multiverse where the Illuminati are and stuff like that, and she's able to chase them through this thing called dream walking, right?
Yeah,
and, that I kind of lost the thread on where we so much.
It's interesting because like this is Mother's Day weekend. We're recording this on Mother's Day, and it's both a stealth Mother's Day movie because Wanda's entire like reason for doing all this, for Breaking Bad and everything else, is her love for her children that are maybe not real, maybe real,
real in some universes.
Yeah, they're real to her.
How that worked out.
They're real enough, right? Yeah, it's one of those things, don't think about it too much. Like, so it's like, man, yeah, you feel for Wanda, or you can feel for her, because she's a grieving mother who just wants like her children and everything else, and everyone at every turn is saying like, no, you don't deserve them, you don't get to be happy and everything else. Yeah, they're not real, even though they kind of might be. So it's a mother's story in a lot of ways, but it paints the mother in not the most attractive light, let's say, in a lot of ways. So it can be a little like, thought provoking, I guess. I don't know the right term, but it's an interesting thing that Kayla, I think you mentioned it while we were leaving the theater or something. Like, man, this is like
a Mother's Day film.
What a Mother's Day film in in both ways, in good ways and bad ways, right?
I think her motivation works. I think where WandaVision leaves off and stuff, and she has to convince the world that she isn't, she puts the hex on everyone that she's, that was a mistake, I shouldn't have done that. But in reality, she has been cocking up this plan of how to get back to her children.
Yeah.
And she doesn't care who she has to, what lives she has to ruin to get back to that.
My memory of WandaVision 2 was like, oh, we left off, she's at peace. And apparently not. No. That's my memory of it.
Well, no, you see her in she's putting the
with the book
being washed, and she's out. It shows her leaving the cabin and kind of doing her life, but the real her is in, is floating in the air, and that dead hold or whatever is floating as well, and she is just scouring that book to find a way to
It is interesting. I think that I'm gonna take it back to the Illuminati just real quick, just because I also really enjoyed how the death scenes were there. They weren't too violent, but I think they were quite violent enough, especially for being a Marvel film. But I think, whereas this whole time I'm like, God, you're gonna have to watch What If to know what's going on. They've already spoiled that all these characters are in there. But they straight spoiled it. Like, I feel like with the trailers and Professor X, all those things would have hit so much harder in theaters if Oh, I didn't. I just watched a whole episode. Like, I just felt like it spoiled it. It just made it less effective to see them in the film and then them be done in the film.
That's the biggest thing, is just the like you said, to be done in the film. It's a weird thing, is like, does this matter? Do these people matter? Like, you've now put, like, Captain Carter as an example. You know, she's kind of one of the main protagonists throughout the story of What If, and then you've chosen to, like, put her in this as well. So, like, oh, this is an important character in some way, shape, or form that is gonna, like, work in the MCU, and then no, well, we're gonna kill her off in five minutes. That's the parts of it that left me feeling a little, like, confused or whatever. Like, I didn't know how to feel about them as it's happening. I love it. I like the violence and the action and everything else. And it really paints the picture that, like, Scarlet Witch is this unstoppable machine. And it's cool, but yeah, it's just one of those things where there's that the Illuminati and how that's all handled, and then I mentioned, like, America Chavez. I'll save it for maybe more the end of our discussion, but those are the two things that I kind of had gripes about. Was that, but the highs for me are just way too high that it's like, I'm not going to put too much thought. I'm just going to enjoy the ride, in a lot of sense.
I mean, I just have to know that we're going to get our Reed Richards. We have our Captain Marvel. We had our Captain America. We've had our version of Peggy. Like, we're going to get some kind of Professor X. So in WandaVision, I was very upset with how they did the thing with Quicksilver. Like, are they just kind of fucking with people? Like, I don't want to be patronized with this whole Quicksilver thing. But I didn't feel like that with it. I felt like it was a real great, just touchstone callback to something. And now I know that they don't have to do that. They don't have to chase that dragon anymore. They gave me that little piece of X-Men nostalgia that I have. And I am fully ready. Whatever they wind up doing, I don't need that original thing anymore. So I was perfectly fine with the slightness of, like, the insignificantness of it.
Yeah, I just wish they didn't do What If at all.
Kayla hates What If. On the record now. But she brutally murders the Illuminati and everything. And now we're back on the chase. This was another, like, right after. So we got this really cool violent scene. In the aftermath, we see her chasing down, Wanda is now chasing down, or I guess I should call her the Scarlet Witch. Well, she's in a Wanda body. She's astral projecting. So whatever, call her whatever you want. But there's this cool tunnel chase scene that it becomes like very much like a slasher film. Very much like a Sam Raimi horror film. Where we've got this long tunnel. We're just, like, running for whatever reason. They can't really use magic or whatever. They don't want to use magic. And Wanda's kind of beat up at this point. She's taken down the Illuminati, but she's like, bloody. Maybe it's their blood, but she's kind of limping and stuff. And she's, like, just chasing around. And it's very, like, tense, like, just a chase scene. And it really stood out for me. I thought that was, like, just really, really cool. It's another one, like, oh, this is definitely a Sam Raimi movie. And done just, like, so well. The tension was great.
Yeah, she just looks like Carrie. Like, at the end, like, Sissy Spacek and that, like, she just has, like, the hair draped over half her face and blood everywhere, and she's just like,
coming
just after him. Yeah.
I like that scene a lot.
Gives you this feeling of, this, like, just an unstoppable force, this Terminator, and I think Elizabeth Olsen just does it so well, like, for just, like, a tiny little, like, human that she is, like, she's terrifying. She's like so scary in a lot of this movie. And it's really a testament to like her physical acting in this. And like she does a lot with her face and just like like little things that she says to Doctor Strange or to anyone who's coming after her. Even like when she's talking to the Illuminati and stuff, she's just like got this uber confidence, and it's really a testament to her. We eventually get to a situation where Doctor Strange has to confront another version of himself. He has to get back to where we're separated. Like, Wanda has America. She's going to suck the life out of her. She wants the multiverse power that she has, so she's got to do this ritual, and they're separated. Doctor Strange is in a different universe completely. He's got to get back. He's got to take on Wanda and save America. And he runs into a dark version of himself, like at the end of time, at the end of a universe. I don't exactly know what's going on. It might be
this is the what if version of.
Is it? See, I thought maybe it was, but so we'll say it is. Yeah, I was asking Kayla just this morning, like, is that the what if one? Because like the what if version at the end of that storyline is so super powerful, and this guy kind of goes out a little.
Yeah, he just makes reference to, because he's like, that feeling when in your dreams when you've fallen off a cliff or something. Well, I'm the one kicking them off the cliff, and what if that Doctor Strange is basically absorbing Doctor Strange's powers from every multiverse that he could find, and trying to find a way to be with Christine. And if you've seen that episode of What If, I think it helps a lot with understanding where Doctor Strange is in this movie, because they really, at the beginning, give you the idea of, man, did all that Thanos stuff, like, did I make the right choice? Was it the only way? There was so much loss and pain, even with the blip happening, and we get a scene with Michael Stuhlbarg at the wedding in the beginning where he's like, hey, how you doing? I was gone. Yeah, I'm doing well. I was gone for 5 years, lost both my cats and a brother or something. He's like, the brother is the second thing. And he asks Steven, like, was it the only way? Mm. And then he goes to another multiverse and he sees this memorial to that Doctor Strange that he defeated Thanos. And he's like, man, could I have just sacrificed myself to deal with this problem? Did I do it the right way? And then he sees another version of himself, this other, Supreme Strange, whatever he's supposed to be in this universe, that has tried to chase that dragon to try to find happiness. Are you happy is the theme of this movie. Calvin says hello to everyone.
Hey, Calvin.
Hi, Calvin.
Okay. Yeah, he's at this confrontation with himself, a version of him that it could have easily become, like just chasing this idea of, what did I fuck up? How do I change? How do I fix this and stuff like that?
Their fight ends up being very bizarre and fun in a lot of ways. They fight with music. There are various, like, for whatever reason, he's been hanging out in a very musical version of the Sanctum Sanctorum or whatever it's called, the house that Doctor Strange lives in. And there's like a piano and there's a bunch of sheet music, and they use the sheet music to fight. They like summon musical notes and stuff, and it was real bizarre and really like, what is going on here? It feels kind of not like just it's a little one-off like joke that they're almost making, but it was fun. It was wild.
Yeah, it stands out for sure. It's the music in the movie up to that point had really stood out to me, like with the X-Men theme and stuff like that, and then to have them just fight with the music, like have the score be what they're fighting with at that time, was just really cool. And at this, I was just in for the ride. I was just going with it. I couldn't just think like, does this fit in with everything? It was just cool. Like they're with their magic and everything, they're shooting, little magic sparks, and to have it where they're just like literally lifting the notes off the page and flinging them at each other like ninja stars was cool. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, it's just another, I mentioned it earlier in the pod, just like, to me, the magic that they used in previous, like the first Doctor Strange, or like just anytime he's been around or Wanda's been around, was kind of generic. It was just kind of like, I can shoot stuff from my hands in a lot of ways. This movie, at multiple, like every opportunity it gets, like it's super diversified, like their arsenal, very creative. Yeah, they're using everything around in the environment and stuff, like reflections that Wanda can summon herself out of and stuff like that. Just really cool stuff. And yeah, the music notes were just another example of that. And then a further example is kind of the climax, the final big battle, is Doctor Strange decides that the way he's going to get back to Wanda and take her down is to inhabit the body of the dead Doctor Strange that we saw in the very beginning of the movie and create a zombie essentially of himself. And he's got to figure out how to like control the zombie and control these weird spirits that are coming out, like what does he call them? The spirits of the damned or something like that.
Yeah, because the evil Doctor Strange in this weird multiverse has the dead hold in that universe, and Strange needs that in order to to do the Dreamwalk thing, which is a like a like dark magic, that is forbidden. You're not supposed to use that. And by him doing this, he is breaking the code of the dead or something.
Yeah, you're definitely not supposed to do it into dead bodies.
And at first he is like, these spirits he can't control this magic. And the spirits are going to punish him basically for breaking the code. And, I forget who it is. Is it Christine or someone like gets them to snap out of it? And like, dude, you're Doctor Strange. Like, be strange, motherfucker.
Yeah, they're spirits.
Yeah,
and he cracks the code, whatever, and figures it out, and he's able to command this zombie Strange in the other world to full effect. And another fun call to What If with the zombie Marvel episode. I thought I know Kayla is feels about What If in a way, and I think What If is just a fun companion.
But it wouldn't have been better after this, at least. Like, do you want all these cool moments that are happening in Doctor Strange to have already been spoiled by What If?
It didn't spoil it for me. It added it. It was like just a primer for the movie, really, for me. Like, just a fun way to like, oh, okay, yeah, this all I get why Doctor Strange feels this way. I get why this is happening. I get, like, it just added a little more context to everything, which I think might be needed in this, because it
goes back to my original thought.
Like, so I'm sorry for giving you shit about that guy. I think What If did play.
That was my original feelings of it, was that you weren't going to be able to get it without seeing What If. And I feel like you could have gotten it.
Yeah, you get it, but it helps just to know where the characters' headspaces are in all this. I think it helps with all that. And I think for sure WandaVision is required viewing to really enjoy this. And What If, I think, is optional and really helpful in enjoying it overall.
I almost think it's like, What If is optional, but watching Doctor Strange almost improves, for me at least, What If, like What If wasn't enough on its own, but then like you watch Doctor Strange and it's like, the stuff in What If actually maybe it matters a little more, where it didn't up until that point. Maybe
it just added the multiverse part of this. I feel better about it after this movie of just getting at like, and I whatever they do with America going forward, I get it. Like her power just leans towards this. Okay, let's see what's next. Let's see what's the next issue of this comic. What's it going to be? Where are we going to go? What are we going to see? Who are we going to be introduced to? And it being a lighter, less important thing overall.
So we get Necromancer, Doctor Strange versus Wanda to finish it off, versus Scarlet Witch. And Wong is thrown in there too. He gets to do some fun things.
Wong's great in this movie.
He is. There's awesome. A scene where you think he's maybe gone. He's maybe bit the dust, but comes back stronger.
He's fucking Scorpion in this movie. He can't die. He's got the fucking harpoon hook now. It's great.
That was like the only time where, like, they showed all the other people died, like not in close-ups, but because that was like off screen, I was like, nah, he didn't die. Yeah, it would have showed us like a head rolling down the mountain or some shit if he died.
Good call on that. And it's pretty interesting the way it all ends, because Doctor Strange loses. Like, Wanda still is too strong, even in this cool, like, he's got like really awesome. I called him Necromancer Doctor Strange because he's inhabiting the body of a zombie version of himself. He has like absorbed these Harry Potter Dementors and able to like use them as appendages almost. Like they sprout wings for him and things of that nature. And he's got these really cool dark, like he's all the light art stuff, all the magic, but also all the dark arts. He's got it all, and he can use it all. And but Wanda's still too powerful. But the idea is that they have to convince her that she's wrong. That like she should allow the alternate reality versions of herself, the Wandas, to have their kids and love their kids, and she just needs to know that like they're taken care of. Like, she can't have them in her universe and everything else as much as she wants to, and much as she maybe even deserves them. She has to come to the realization that they're not hers. They are, they're being taken care of by their true mothers. It's a lot. It's intense, and it's like it's an emotional. But she makes the right choice. She decides to no longer pursue America and kill herself. She drops a mountain on herself. I don't know. Is she dead? What did you guys think of just that whole like kind of climax and finish to the story there?
Well, her kids are also fucking afraid of her because she's terrifying. Like, so it was a little hit there.
That opens her eyes to like, what am I
doing?
Right.
And America says that at one point, like before this, when it's just them two and her minions, like, well, you're gonna kill their mother, like, what would they think? And she was like, I don't care, like, as long as they're mine, I get to have them. And then she shows her, like, you are batshit crazy right now, lady.
You're becoming a monster, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I know Eric brought up the disconnect of how powerful people are and stuff, but it doesn't come down to power at the end, ultimately. Like, you need to have a plan. There's a part in Infinity War where it looks like everyone, like, they're gonna stop Thanos, but Thanos, all he has to do is talk to Peter Quill, talk his way out of it, convince him to do something, make a poor decision. If you can, like, Doctor Strange, in the end of the first Doctor Strange, it's not a big magic battle with Dormammu. He has to, like, be smarter than Dormammu. Like, you just have to think of a way out of these things. And even though it's not like a perfect, like, super clever plan, but yeah, in order to defeat him, like, you have to put a mirror on Scarlet Witch and show her what she's doing wrong. And they try, but they finally figure out a way to convince her that she is wrong. It's not like the end of WandaVision where it just becomes a flying Dragon Ball Z battle. It's something different, something more thoughtful. And I'm totally for that. You can show me how powerful and awesome this character is, but at the end of the day, they're still a villain. They're still in the wrong, and they find a way besides punching him in the face to save the day. And
the only person that can stop her is her. Like,
right. And I really like, because when they first discover, she has to kidnap Wong to show her this ancient mountain, which is another like weird MacGuffin-y thing that Marvel does. But she gets there and they discover like there's a huge stone monument that looks just like her, like the prophesized Scarlet Witch, and it's supposed to be a tomb. And she's like, "This isn't a tomb; it's my throne." And then to have her make it crumble on herself and it ultimately be a tomb, I thought was a good full circle kind of thing on that.
It's good. Yeah, I didn't really put that aspect of it, but yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's good. So what do we think? We get some after credit scenes. Some kind of, I don't know what's going on in these after credit scenes, but before we get to that, I guess, do we think Scarlet Witch is done? She's become such a cool villain. I really loved her as this like unstoppable machine, and we've talked about her being the new Thanos or the new big bad, when we were talking about like WandaVision, kind of set her up for that, but then also gave themselves some, I guess, leeway of she could just be dead at this point. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think they've left it open, right? Go ahead, Kayla. I'm sorry.
It's a multiverse. I mean, there are other ones out there. Obviously, we've seen them. That's kind of where I got confused. Some of this, is she the only like Scarlet Witch that's super powerful? Are there other ones? There's obviously ones that have somehow had children before, so that whole thing mixed me up. Do they have powers? Are they the same?
Yeah, it was unclear whether the version that she's trying to steal the life from, like her life, if she had powers,
right?
It did connect with the Scarlet Witch in that universe. Who knows?
So it could have threaded a needle of another one who, I don't know, maybe Wanda has already been trying other ways and causing harm, and now those Wandas are mad and want to come punish somebody for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess when you're that open, when it can literally be any outcome, any universe and stuff, you can kind of do whatever you want. They've left themselves a lot of leeway there. So
I don't know,
yeah.
And what I've looked up about the character that's introduced in the Stinger.
Yes, please tell me, because I have no idea.
So we kind of skipped over the happy ending part where America Chavez saves the day. She figures out how to kind of harness her powers. She's in training at the Cormitage?
Carmitage. I think, yeah.
Karma Chameleontage.
Yes,
and she's. She has her farewell with Steven, and it looks like she might be able to potentially go out and find her parents or whatever, whatever multiverse she trapped them in. And, Steven's just kind of walking down the street, and you get this like guitar stinging, like, and it seems as though the Darkhold might have affected him. Coming in contact with him more than we thought. He develops a third eye that grows out of his head that the evil Strange had, and then credits roll after that. But then the Stinger is just him kind of okay with it. I guess it didn't affect him too badly because he bounced back from developing the third eye, and a new character is introduced. We get a Charlize Theron in straight purple getup, saying, "Hey, you created an incursion in time, or in the multiverse, and we need to fix that." And she's able to kind of just looks like she has a blade of some kind that can cut through the multiverse, tear through the multiverse, and they're going to go on an adventure. And this character, I guess, is Clea Strange.
Oh.
She is a female version of Doctor Strange, I guess. And the two of them eventually marry at some point, I believe, in the comics, the two Stranges.
Oh, wait, is this Loki?
Oh, Loki Sylvie situation. Okay.
Yeah, it is one of those things.
Interesting. Yeah, I thought she was maybe Psylocke from the X-Men.
Oh, yeah.
Because, she had, kind of a purple get-up. Psylocke is known for, having a purple extension energy thing on her arm. Yeah. And I think her powers are kind of portal-y type powers as well.
No one knows what Psylocke is. No one.
Yeah. I think I got that from, because doesn't she do that in Days of Future Past, I think? She's in the future version.
She's in Apocalypse. I don't know that was Psylocke in Days of Future?
When they're fighting all of the Sentinels, and they're all, dying, the X-Men are all getting wiped out, okay. I think she's one of them, and she's, creating portals for, the people to jump out of and stuff, like Colossus and whatnot, so...
Oh, okay.
Really confusing things even further, probably, but...
Yeah, you gotta have a fucking doctor to explain these fucking movies, man, at this point. I hope we did a decent enough job with both of these, but, man, it's a lot. It's a lot going on.
For the stinger, I would like to say, you better not give me Charlize Theron and not use her well.
Soon. I want her.
That lady is an action star, and give me action with Charlize. Doctor Strange is action-y, but not... He kicks butt, but he uses magic a lot. So, I mean, I don't know. That confuses me that she's a Strange. I don't know. I was hoping it was, gonna connect us to the Guardians somehow. And she gives me, spacey Guardians vibes, but...
She looked very futuristic or space. Yeah, mm-hmm. I got that vibe, too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We'll have to see. Who knows? Or,
the Secret Invasion. I was not going Lokiville there. I was going different route. That confuses me.
So I mentioned I had one more gripe, and it was with America Chavez, and I think we can kind of wrap it all in. I wanted to answer the question, or have us answer the question of where we see Marvel now. Now we've discussed Moon Knight, we've discussed Doctor Strange, and we've got Thor coming up. How do we feel overall about where the MCU is right now, coming off of this movie and coming off of now 6 shows, I think, on Disney Plus? So we've gotten a lot here. My gripe with that kind of leads me into this question with America Chavez is she was fine, her character and stuff. I liked the actress. I thought she had I'd be interested to see where she goes, but she felt so unnecessary in the sense that we've introduced so many things at this point in the MCU that create multiverses or whatever, or allow people to travel without America being a part of this whatsoever. We've had a Spider-Man movie where Ned was able to pull in other universe Spider-Men. We've had Loki and Sylvie able to go into various multiverses using whatever they've got, the technology of the TNA or whatever. TVA, yeah. We've gotten, the Darkhold, which has apparently the ability to traverse multiverses and stuff. It seems like we've already got enough things that allow us to do this, at will almost, where we didn't need by my count, a 4th entity that allows us to do this thing that we've already been doing at this point, traveling the multiverse and bringing in characters from other multiverses and everything else. She felt very we've called her a MacGuffin and everything else, and but just unneeded. You could have I almost feel like you could have this entire story and it be the Darkhold or whatever, or like the book, like we had this other book, this like the opposite of the Darkhold was like the Lighthold or something, the book of Ashanti or something.
Book of Ashanti and Ja Rule. Okay.
Right. So we already had that, and like if they would have said, "Oh yeah, that book has the incantation to travel the multiverse" or something, would we have batted an eye? Would we have no, because everything has the ability to travel the multiverse at this point, it seems. So that was my biggest kind of gripe of the entire movie, honestly, was like the central character in a way, or the central like MacGuffin was kind of unneeded. It was weird. It was a weird kind of choice in my opinion. Like they desperately felt they needed it.
Part of the point was like, you are going to kill this child and take her powers so you can go kill your other self to be with her children. Like, so you would lose that aspect of you're going to have to kill this person to do that.
Yeah, it just felt like, to me, it felt like, okay, well, but if Ned is able to like open up little portals to get like Toby's Spider-Man to come in, why can't, like, okay, so Wanda in all of her power and everything else, and with the Darkhold and everything, she can't just do the same thing and jump through a portal to go hang out with her kids? I don't know.
It's messy, but that's a little different, because that's like, okay, we created cracks in the multiverse, and it seems like it's just random that he pulls Spider-Man and at that time or something. But then they fixed that. That is fixed. They can't just pull people anymore. Wanda's able to do the dream walk, but the Darkhold's been destroyed. That mountain's been destroyed. We have no access to that anymore. Whereas America, we have this thing now where she is the only one that can do that now. Well, I guess Clea, I don't know. Like, there is a little bit of like, why is she so important? But I think she's gonna be. I think she's gonna be in the future of this thing for sure. Or maybe they just give her own like show or movie or something where she's just trying to figure out her own shit, and maybe she's not gonna be involved in this, but I don't think so. I think she's gonna play a factor.
But what do you think?
She was fun. I thought she was needed. Like she right away, like she's having after they fight that eyeball monster, and they're just having like a burger or something. Wong, Strange in America, and there's this funny line where they bring up Spider-Man. He's like, "Wait, you get Spider-Man? What is he? Is he a guy that looks like a spider, or whatever?" And like, no, he's just a kid who has the power of spiders. He could shoot webs and everything. He's like, out of his butt?
Yeah. When they got to use her, she was good. I thought, but Kayla mentioned it earlier that like she didn't have a lot of scenes where she got to. There was just so much going on. So, honestly, you didn't have enough time with all of the Wanda stuff, with all of the Strange stuff. You just didn't have enough time for America to really have a lot of lines. But she hit the one she did.
This isn't her story.
Right.
This is Steven and Wanda's story. So I think they did a good job of introducing her, and then she'll blossom later more in something else.
So what do you guys think about where we go forward, Kayla? Like, is this a good step in the right direction?
I've said it before. This is all phase setup. Like, this is not. It is building off of what we already know, but it is trying to start new stuff. It's trying to build new stuff and plant new stuff, and this is a new phase, so it's the beginning. So things gotta get going. They're not on 10. It's not there yet.
Do you like where it's going, or where at least it looks like it's going? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always down for the ride. In Favreau we trust.
Yes, indeed. Favreau and Fahey, TM.
Yeah.
How about you, Mike? Like, do you feel overall confident? Like, I think you liked this movie, but like where this movie leaves us and everything else, like, do you feel confident?
I think we're still in that like tread water kind of thing overall. Like this movie was super cool, but I don't know. I guess it's pretty similar to where like, okay, Avengers ends and we get to see Thanos. And Loki did that, but we got to meet Kang even more. Like, we know that Kang is going to eventually down the road, we are getting to Kang. And we just kick the ball down a little more, kick the rock down a little further towards Kang. And I don't know how much closer we got. I don't think the ball got kicked too far. I'm okay with that because it was just such a fun, cool thing without even thinking about the grand scope of it.
Right.
I was left just like, yeah, fuck yeah, Doctor Strange, man. Give me more of that guy. Give me more of that world. And hopefully we don't have to wait 6 years to get that. I think that's the time between the two Strange films. So yeah, and then Love and Thunder is probably going to do the same kind of thing. Introduce more layers of this multiverse, more aspects of it until it all needs, like, there's too much. There's too much multiverse and we have to stop it.
But we're not there yet, is what you're saying. Not yet. Okay. All right.
Not yet, I guess.
We'll see. I might be getting close myself, but we gave Moon Knight 7s across the board. I want to put this one on the like it, love it, don't want no more of it scale. I want to say I love it. I started this conversation off with I think I love this movie, and I think this conversation has cemented it in my mind that I love this movie. I really, really, really like this movie a lot. Well, how about you guys?
Love it.
I'm straddling like it, love it. I'm almost love it. But
see, I had a number in my head. I don't know if I would want to go back and
rewatch it or something. I don't know. I really just enjoy so many great moments in it, and I do really like the ending for Wanda. I thought was good, and I wanted to like where we left Steven, but then they kind of just do this Sam Raimi weird thing at the end, where we don't know where is Steven good right now? Is he evil? Who knows? It was kind of a Moon Knight-y end, honestly, like the same kind of feel to it with that stinger. But overall, really liked it. Really liked it. How about you, Kayla?
I had a number. I had a number in my mind the whole time. Then you liked it and loved it and threw me off a little bit.
The scales, I feel like they're everywhere.
Give us a number. Give us a number.
I feel like because my number was going to be 8, I feel like I gotta say I love it because I did enjoy it more than I enjoyed Moon Knight. I think that it just had more like really fun moving parts. Like we've said a lot. You get going right from the beginning, and it's just kind of going ever since. So I want to give it an 8. So I feel like that pushes it over to love it.
I'm a high 8 for sure, if not a 9.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Guess it depends on, we've never codified the like it, love it scale to say that like, 9 and 10 is love it, you know? So you guys are right on that 8 to 9 scale. So, you know, hey, that's podcasting, baby. All right. So that was Marvelous May. We got Moon Knight and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. One we liked and one we kind of sort of loved. But we had a lot of fun regardless. I don't think anyone felt that we wasted our time. Hopefully, we also didn't waste your time listening to us talk about it. We had a lot of fun on episode 75 of The Machine of Nonsense. You can catch us on all social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We'd love to hear from you. whether that's on our social media or you can go to anchor.fm/machine of nonsense. We'd love to hear your takes on Moon Knight, on Doctor Strange, on the state of the Marvel Universe, the MCU. Do you care about Fantastic Four? I want to know. So drop us a line, let us know, leave us a voicemail. We'd love to hear from you. Maybe I'll put up a poll or something on MoNstars, the official fan group of the Machine of Nonsense. Episode 75 in the books. We're getting out of here, and we're saying goodbye.
Bye.
Hey.